Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCG live codes, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. For today's video, we are going to be looking at Lugia Archeops. It was the most popular deck in day 2 of the EUIC, and it made 2 top 8 placements, so also converting pretty well in that day 2. And there were some interesting innovations from the EUIC that we'll get into with today's deck list. We'll start off, though, with the bread and butter of the deck. We are trying to get our V-Star on turn 2 because the entire deck is unlocked via our V-Star ability here, the Summoning Star, allowing us to essentially get 2 Archeops into play is the only target that we're looking for with this card, because that Primal Turbo unlocks the most ridiculous energy acceleration available, and it's going to help sustain some really expensive attack costs on our Single Strike Pokemon. So first thing to note is that Single Strike Energy provides both Darkness and Fighting Energy, but also buffs our damage output by 20 more for each of these attached, and these do stack, so there will be situations where we can reach certain knockouts with type coverage or just raw damage output by having enough Single Strike Energies. The other great thing about this card specifically is that Urn of Vitality can recover these cards. You can use 1 Urn to get 2 Single Strike Energy from the discard pile directly back into the deck. And then once they're in the deck, we can pull them out immediately with Archeops. So reusing our Single Strike Pokemon are all really important here. So let's have a look at what we have. We have a single prizer, which is Stonjourner, very good for type coverage into Arceus and Miraidon players, and has more than 120 hit points, so can sometimes be frustrating for Lost Zone players because a Cram and a Sableye cannot deal with it so easily. Similar story really for the Yveltal. 130 hit points, very solid. This time we have Dark type coverage, which is very helpful for Mew and for Gardevoir EX matchups. We then also have an additional Dark type Pokemon in Tyranitar. It is a 2-prize Pokemon, but it still can be used to uptrade into Mew and Guardy when required, and that Single Strike Crush option does 240 base damage, so simply using those Single Strike energies helps us one-hit KO opposing V-Star Pokemon, so definitely an important card to bear in mind. We also have the Cragalanche. Milling 2 from the opponent can sometimes give you cheesy win conditions at times, and is also a great counter to more wild trapping strategies, so something to bear in mind as well. We are then playing the Duraludon, and this is kind of the new evolution of this archetype, and it makes a lot of sense actually, because the cat's really out of the bag with Duraludon. Lugia's got to a point where it's become popular enough that people are choosing to play Duraludon again in this format. We saw Alex Szymanski win the EUIC with an Arceus build of Duraludon, but also, as is obvious here, there will be mirror matches where Duraludon is relevant, and we have no Pokemon in the deck that can hit through the Skyscraper ability, except for Duraludon itself, because G-Max Pulverization goes through all effects of your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is really important for the mirror match these days, but also it really improves your time into Goodra, because you are hitting through the effect of Rolling Iron and pretty much ignoring that reduction. Plus we have 220 base damage, and we can once again use our Single Strike energies here to buff that into range of knocking out a Goodra in 1 hit. So this 1-1 line, it is clunky, it is frustrating because Lugia is already like on a bit of a tightrope for consistency, but this seems to do enough in 2 pretty relevant matchups in the Mirror and Goodra, and I suppose also Arc Dura variants. I think you're still unfavored into Arc Duraludon, but this at least gives you a fighting chance in that instance. From there, we're using a Radiant Tsareena. Its healing ability can allow us to offset some math for some Lost Zone box players. For our Archeops, it can deny a Greninja 90-90 into a Sableye 60-60, which is really important. And also it can be used with your Tyranitar as an early pressure attacker, where you can stay out of Cram plus Sableye Sprinkle range with that heal of 20 in between turns. So on your turn. So that's excellent. The other new innovation of the deck is adding Thorton into the deck. Now Thorton gives us a way around more wild trapping, which is really important, but also it just lets us reuse some certain Pokemon, for example Stonjourner into Arc and Miraidon matchups, reusing some Dark types into the Mew matchup specifically, and just sort of organizing our board that little bit, trying to get rid of things like Lumineon that stick around in the opening stages. It's such an important card to use in the opening turns just to get our setup rolling. even situations where you've had to put down double Lugia because you're expecting one of them to get knocked out, you can then sort of clear one off the board later and try and either force more of a single prize map or just bring extra attackers into the mix, which is exceptional. So yeah, that is Lugia. Not too much else to be said. I think really the debate is over Collapsed Stadium or not, whether you want to have this. Firstly, it's an additional stadium card, but also it could be another way to force that difficult prize map. But I could definitely see this being the floating spots of the list. It could turn into a extra research. It could turn into an extra Mesagoza. It could even be like an A-spec Great Ball. You never know. But that's the list for today, and enjoy the games. Cheers. Into this first game, we are going to be able to go first, which is really nice. And looks like our opening hand is looking like we need some help from Mesagoza, actually. We are going to get some mulligans, though. It looks like we're up against a Lost Zone box. So maybe some mulligans will help us out. We actually get 3, which is insane. So picking up second Archeops and another Research is huge here. We do flip that Tails, so we can make a Lugia at least this turn. Can have a look through some stuff. Maybe a small debate to Mesagoza or not here. Flipping heads on a Mesagoza would obviously help us get a second Lugia developed, possibly. That would be the safest thing I could have done. But also maybe gives the opponent some help. And the opponent needs an exceptional turn. But they have started double VIP pass into Greninja, into Colress. So our opponent's hand is looking really good. They developed the early Raikou, which makes me think it's more likely a forest build as well. So possibly Lugia's going down. Oh no, we see the escape rope as well. The only good news is that I attached a single strike energy and I'm holding on to research. So if this Lugia does happen to go down by the absolute forest high roll, I at least get the chance to research into a single strike energy and I can Lance Pulse respond. Okay, I like seeing Rope back into Stonjourner. That would be great. This is their third flower selecting, though, so 5 in the Lost Zone. Oh, Forest Hill Stone's probably going to help them get to 7. Yeah, this is looking dicey. Can they... Will this be the Vacuum, or will they also have the Mirage Gate and the Rope is the question. Yeah, okay, so Lugia's back into the active. They get the Fleet-Footed, they can Vacuum to 7. Oh, so gross. They get to turn attach and Mirage Gate. Crazy turn from the opponent. But fortunately we start with Stonjourner, so we still have a chance in this game. We still have a chance. Don't mind flipping this coin now. I feel like I probably should have researched first, honestly. Oh no, because I wanted to draw into single strike energy. That's the reason why I wanted to hit the Goza first. We actually whiff any outs to Lugia, but at least we hit the single strike energy, so I can respond KO on this Raikou. And yeah, Stonjourner take the wheel. He's in charge right now. I think the scariest thing would be a Dragonite play from the opponent, but they have got rid of 2 Lightning Energy into their Lost Zone in their sort of turn 1 endeavors, so it wouldn't be that easy for them to get a Dragonite play in here. Especially now with Colress, I feel pretty confident that this Stonjourner is actually going to stick around. That's really good news for us. I feel like the only way I could get knocked out would be like their last Rope into Hawlucha. No, because they don't even have space for Sableye Hawlucha as well. So yeah, Stonjourner's going to be sticking. They have Greninja and Cram. Looks like they go in with the Shuriken, which is kind of good because I already have Radiant Tsareena developed, so nothing too bad there. And because we have so many energy trapped in hand, it might actually be the best play to Thorton here, honestly. So let's just get rid of this Lumineon and turn it into a Lugia. And we can turn attach Giga Hammer here quite happily. Maybe a debate to benching Duraludon V here. Possibly get it into the mix. I am still wary of getting too many 2 prizes into play. So it looks like we're just going to go for the Giga Hammer instead. And somehow, despite our opponent getting turn 1 Forest Seal Stone Mirage Gate, we are still ahead of the prize race here. And we've eventually redeveloped Lugia. What is this? This is our turn 3, and there's still no Summoning Star, and somehow we're still in this game. Our opponent going down to 4 cards left in the deck. So many cards in the Lost Zone now as well. They're going to be dancing more flower selectings. They're at 0 cards in deck, so they are going to need some sort of reload here. Power Pad, Energy, yeah, there you go, Energy Recycler. Puts them into range, and they're actually just going to spit innocently through the Stonjourner here. 3 prize cards remaining, so we're kind of level right now, which is looking pretty good for us, honestly. They don't really have an easy way of knocking out Lugia outside of Raikou, so if we take this prize and go down to 2 remaining, and I bench Duraludon this turn, it would put me in pretty good shape, as long as I can hit my V-Star, right? This is the panic. The Judge wasn't all that reliable because I had 2 V-Star in the discard pile, so actually quite the fortunate Judge to be able to hit this V-Star. But now that we do get Lugia, we can summon out the boys, respond on this cram at last with our Primal Turbos. And I honestly should be in a pretty good position after this, so somehow we've come back in this game. We're holding on to Research for next turn. I can start powering up Duraludon in the process as well. So we even get rid of Beach Court here, so the disruption is looking pretty nice. We somehow got away with this one. Looks like we're pretty much guaranteed here, no matter what the opponent does. The rope is not a worry at all. We have enough energy to retreat or attack with Archeops, whichever we think is best. Clara's not too concerning. They did get back Raikou, but again, because we're down to 2 prizes, they can't really use that on good conscience. They're pretty much out of resources as well. That's one of the issues of the Forest Seal Stone build, is when they go so fast, they actually end up having like nothing left to use. We can thin the deck a little bit here with a Capturing Aroma. Develop that Dura, so there's no issue of us whiffing a KO on Raikou next turn. We can use these Primal Turbos to power up Big Dura. And looks like we're going for the retreat play. So I have the retreat play into Lugia, or, well, I suppose I I drew into the Impact, so I can just turn attach and pulverize here. Duraludon's kind of the biggest thing I can make, I suppose, and they just have no way to get through this guy, right? So that's pretty okay. We can just welly this, and I see essentially no win con for the Lost Box, which is pretty insane based on how good their start was, that we were still able to just take over. And it's thanks in part to this Radiant Tsareena that got a number of turns of value, undoing a lot of their damage that they could have capitalized on with Sableye later, but it just never really came together for the opponents, as they are just going to retreat and get a hit in with this Raikou. But we can just pulverize through this. So a really nice win against Lost Zone Box there, the turbo build, that popped off as well. On to the next game then. Let's see this coin flip. And we once again get to go first. You'll love to see that. And looks like it's a Stonjourner lead also again. This time it's a mirror match though. We are sitting on Ultra Ball, so definitely an Archeops is going to go here. Probably Urn as well. We have the early Duraludon V, which is actually pretty massive, because this matchup is very much dictated by that. We're also holding on to Boss. I like attaching to the active because it gives me possible easier ways of retreating the Stonjourner. They have a 3 retreat cost, which is so silly. So I do like that option. The opponent is also playing Duraludon, so definitely trying to target those is going to be one of the keys to the matchup these days, because the only thing that can hit Duraludon is the opponent's Duraludon. So the opponent gets to Burnet. So plenty of Archeops in the discard pile for them, and they develop double Lugia to protect themselves from whatever we can come up with. Heads was not what we were looking for. I think a Tails flip was actually better for us there for Lumineon plays. So we are going to have to go with the 1 Archeops here. Now we have a couple options. I could either put 2 energy onto Duraludon immediately, or I could put Gift Energy on the active. The gift on the active, I think, just gives us more control over the entire game. So I kind of like this. Definitely debate, though, right? Because if the opponent now, just in their random 3-card hand, was able to V-Star into boss our lone Archeops, I think I'd probably lose in that position. Whereas if I put it on Duraludon, I still have a way to just, like, top deck into win. But this is kind of like saying that in a usual instance, if our opponent doesn't completely high roll us, I get gift activation and I can win off that. And putting the additional energy on Stonjourner let me hit for 20, which isn't all that relevant, but also lets me retreat next turn, even if the opponent hadn't had V-Star activation. So small hedge there that could have been really hard punished, but I think you have to take some risks in the Lugia mirror these days. As it stands, we have that boss's orders and the gift energy from Stonjourner gives us the way to turn attach to our Duraludon as well, so we can take out theirs. Now the game's not done actually after we knock out Duraludon V, because they can still Thorton and then VMAX, so you have to be a little bit careful of that. But it looks like our opponent's kind of run out of steam here, so we should be in pretty good shape. We can actually attach again to get pulverization into 260 range, and we can start powering up Lugia on the bench, because now we're just going to be one gust away from win with this easy knockout. So that's looking pretty juicy. It feels like we're guaranteed to win at this stage. We're very, very far ahead thanks to Duraludon. The matchup is quite swingy, the mirror these days. It's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. Let's get on to another matchup here. The opponent gets to go first. Looks like we're leading out with Duraludon. Our hand's not the best, but we do have some Mesagoza flips to go for. And we see Tempting Trap from our opponent's Mawile, so definitely have to be cautious of that. Keep an eye on our Thorton. Keep an eye on when we use Lumineon and Radiant Tsareena. The opponent passes over to us. Let's see Mesagoza first. No help there. We have the option of going for Lugia V there and just going Luminous Sign into Burnet. But instead we're going this direction to try and not put down the Lumineon in the opening stages. I'm pretty honestly fine with them going for Tempting Trap, but it just locks us into a really long passing game. And the opponent can still build some stuff behind Mawile, so I don't really want to give them that chance to Tempting Trap, then build up that lost zone really quickly and take advantage and sort of take tempo. So I kind of like still going for the research first there, developing the Lugia after the research, and still having that game plan of just trying to win on prizes in a conventional manner first, then having the T-Tower as that backup option when need be. As it stands, the opponent's getting to use our Mesagoza, is a little bit frustrating. They can develop Cram here and yeet the Mesagoza and get in with a Spit Innocently. Comes back over to us. Top decking V-Star is huge, so we can get an Archeops going. We only have one in the discard pile right now. We weren't able to get lucky with getting rid of another, so we're just going to summon for one here and get the response KO with our Duraludon V. Now, we actually do have a reduction on our attack text, so this means that a Cramorant can't come in and respond. It forces a 10-card loss zone for Lost Mine here. So even the Duraludon V is fairly chunky. And we know this is a Charizard-based build. We've only taken one prize, so it's pretty hard for them to weave that guy in. So if they don't get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone, we're actually in pretty good shape, honestly. Wow, that's actually a big Pokegear whiff after a number of Flower Selectings, which might give us a window of opportunity here to creep a little bit ahead. Yeah, it is. They just have to pass. It also means I get to Primal Turbo again and have a lot less worries about just having one Archeops in play, because I can get to work on this Lugia now as well. Gives me plenty of threats to work with. We're holding on to some good stuff, though. We have Collapsed, we have Impact, Yeah, so just not wanting to commit any of those and get rid of them with research. I kind of like just holding the entire hand here and taking another prize. We've got a decent gap at this stage in prizes. The opponent will be getting to 10 this turn, though, so it's probably just going to look to Sableye, respond on this Dura. But honestly, things are looking not too bad for us. Finally see the Fire Energy into the Lost Zone, so some confirmation that Charizard's there in the deck somewhere. They are going to bring in Sableye and just Lost minus down. So we have a pretty easy response KO just by using Lugia here. They do get to put 10 damage onto Stonjourner, so it's probably a decent turn for us to Serena to get that out of Lost Mine range. Looks like I'm trying to fill my board as well, just to keep the Collapsed Stadium option open also. I do think trying to get the Radiant Tsareena in makes sense this turn, though. Again, we have Thorton in the deck, so I really don't have to be concerned about our opponent going for a panic trap play at this stage. So we will protect Stonjourner, make sure that we just stay ahead in the prize race at this stage. We'll be going down to 3 prize cards, so the opponent could, in theory, go for a Charizard Raihan Belt KO. That's kind of the only thing that I think will bring them back into this prize race. They'd go down to 2, and then we're getting a little bit shaky, but even then, we're trying to make it difficult for them, and we could try and weave in a late game T-Tar to like mill a Clara or a Palpad or like one of those pieces. So if we were in absolute panic stations, that would kind of be our route. But as it stands, looks like they're getting Sableye out and not Charizard, which means we're just miles ahead in this prize race, and I don't really see a way for us to lose here. I'm going to continue to cycle with Chorus. So many cards in the Lost Zone. It's probably like 20 cards at this point. I haven't looked for a while, but we know they're there. Yveltal is easy enough to put into the active. We have enough single strike left. It doesn't matter really where they put this Lost Mine damage. We can still just choose to attack with it. So yeah, the chunky single prize is definitely pulling their weight in this instance. We're still holding on to some good cards. We can just do 1 and then get the Impact Energy. That would unlock the research for being a decent option. I'm still just sort of keeping that research in hand just in case I need to Ultra Ball for T-Tar, then research away so I can open up Thorton as a play. As we go down to 2 prize cards now, I think it's pretty unachievable for our opponent to catch up in a prize race unless they go knockout V-Star this turn into a into a Echoing Horn play. So instead they're just going to go Boss Tempting Trap, the sort of panic stations. But we have yet to use T-Tar, so it's looking pretty okay here. I can Ultra Ball for T-Tar, then either Serena or research it away. And then just like wait until Thorton, essentially. I could have started that now, honestly. I didn't really need to wait for this. The only thing, I guess, is that they still have 5 cards in deck, so I have plenty of time to just wait, really. I don't need to make any decision until their opponent is like down to possibly like 3 cards remaining or something. 2 or 3 cards. Looks like now, I mean, I could have done this last turn, but I'm still going about the same thing, where I'm trying to start thinning the deck a little bit towards the Thorton play. Gonna Mesagoza out Archeops. I could honestly just attach Double Turbo here and research. Instead I Serena and still don't attach, but it's still looking pretty good. I guess the only reason to not attach is if the opponent has another boss and then brings up Stonjourner and things get a little bit weird, but now it feels like good enough to just sort of wait around a little bit. I'm essentially never losing here as the opponent goes down to 3 cards in deck. The entire thing is that we have to be patient with our Thorton because we only have 1. We only have 1 way around this Mawile. So we have to wait until our opponent is going to deck themselves out, essentially. So this one answer, this one Thorton, completely flips this matchup from auto-loss to auto-win and the opponent's about to see why, because we just have to wait, essentially. Lost Zone box decks have no way of shuffling cards back into their deck unless they're playing Roxanne, and even then it's a one-time deal. They have the Pidgeot V, so they never naturally deck out, but because we play T-Tar, we can eventually force that deck out, which is essentially what's happening in this game, where we can just slowly... Looks like now I'm going to attach to Serena, that's fine. We still have a single strike energy in deck as well, so I could just Primal Turbo at any point, essentially. But the opponent has finally gone down to 2 cards in deck, so we can just convert this Serena into T-Tar and Cragalaunch the last 2 cards away, completely making a mockery of the Mawile, which is nice. Let's go on to our next game, as our opponent is flipping. And we get to go first, which you love to see. And this is going to be a fun one. This is the last game of today, and it's yet another Lost Zone box. We have basically no actions. We can just attach pass. But our opponent could, in theory, donk us, I suppose. We have already seen one Lost Zone get to 7 turn 1. Could it happen again? More VIP pass. Oh dear. There it is. Dragonite. VIP, Nest Balls, Colrus. They're popping off. We even got the V-Guard on Lugia, but it just doesn't matter. The opponent is able to Hisuian for 3rd Comfey as well, which is really important at helping them get to 7, right? They need to Colrus for 2, Comfey for 3, Vacuum for 2 to get to 7. The turn attachment means they need to double gate at least, so maybe a bit better odds for us. But looks like they're not really slowing down with their flower selectings. And this is really going to be the video, to be honest, if we do get knocked out. That's going to be 5 in the Lost Zone now. And there's the Forest Seal Stone, so I imagine we're probably dead once again. Man, Lost Zone can be super scary. One of the highest pressure decks in format. We have Miraidon, we have Mew, we have this Lost Zone variant, which can all do such crazy things. So that's going to be it for today's video, as we are getting galed through with Dragonite. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down below of this list. I'll see you tomorrow for another video. Cheers.